Hello friends. Does Ko Hung have any influence on CEO James? What do their fathers say about Tiu Ka and Tadeep? Who is Lai Tiu Ka and how did she meet CEO Hung? Why CEO Hung always appears next to CEO James? What is their relationship? We had a video about this before. If you already know, you don't need to watch this video. CEO James and CEO Hung. They grew up together in the same house. Both brothers were given responsibility for managing their company in Vietnam by their parents. Hung's younger brother was adopted by James' parents when he was very young. During James's study abroad, Hung manages the company very well. Hung met Lai Tiu Ka and fell in love with her. Lai Tiu Ka is a single mother, lives with her nearly 2-year-old daughter, and is pregnant with her second child. James and Hung's father used to object to his son dating poor girls, people who are not of equal social status to his family. He not only stopped James, but before that he had prevented Li Xiaojie from hanging. Li Xiaojie had a very difficult situation. She got married at 16 and had a baby when she was 17. According to Vietnamese law, women just old enough to register for marriage at the age of 18. Lai Tiu Ka and her ex-husband got married before the age of 18. Li Xiaojie's husband was then sentenced to 2 years in prison for reasons unknown, but her mother is. The lawyer thinks she is the reason her son is in jail. Conflict between Li Xiaojie and her mother-in-law became more and more violent until Lai Tiu Ka and her daughter were kicked out of the house, raising a daughter alone with many difficulties. Since CEO Hung has been hanging in the receiving care and help of his father, the lives of Lai Tiu Ka and her daughter have changed a lot. Although his father did not like this relationship, Hung still decided to take care of and protect Lai Tiu Ka and her daughter, even when he knew that Li Xiaojie was pregnant with her ex-lover's child. The husband's child Hung even more worried. After working at the company, Hung often goes to Lai Tiu's circus house to visit her. Lai Tiu Ka gradually develops feelings for Hung. James and Hung's father finally accepted his son's relationship, while James was having a hard time because his enemies want to destroy his family's company. James teamed up with Hung's younger brother to save the company. James borrowed 8 billion dong from Hung to pay the workers' salaries. Lai Tadeep is also a single mother. After marriage, they lived close to each other and knew each other. Lai Tadeep also met and helped Tiu Ka many times. In her relationship with CEO James, like Tadeep, he also faced opposition from James' family, especially Father James. Final, the sincere love for people overcame family barriers. James' father gave up everything for the happiness of his sons. He chose to live abroad and left his son to take over the company. However, they still have many difficulties ahead. James is currently borrowing money to remedy the consequences caused by the enemy. In spite of, James and Hung work together to find evidence to convict John. Danger is lurking around them. James was worried that the enemy would risk harming the Lai Tadeep, because Lai Tadeep is currently living alone in the camp and has a close relationship with James. It is likely that John is aiming deep used Deep as a last resort to let him escape to Thailand. James rarely visits the Deep recently because he didn't want the enemy to notice him. He only visits her every few days. Use the excuse that he is busy. That makes life so deeply suspicious. Or James is having trouble in the company. Or James's feelings for her have changed. She went out to find out, not knowing that there are always eyes watching her. James rarely visits the Deep recently because he didn't want the enemy to notice him. He is in the business of James and his brother Hung. Hung never confided in Laitiuka. Laitiuka has her own life and daughter. Moreover, she is pregnant with her second child. Deep has her own life. After work every day, Hung visits and helps her and her child. Maybe in the future, the relationship between the four of them will become closer. As I have analyzed above about the relationship between the four people, Deep CEO James and CEO Hung in the light, they are brothers who grew up under the same roof. Li Zi is the wife of CEO James and Li Xiaojage is the wife of CEO Hung. The situation of Deep and Laitiuka. To poor women who were previously married. To Deep has no children. And Laitiuka have a little daughter. And is pregnant with her second child. With her ex-husband. Both women lived in very poor living conditions. They have to take care of themselves and raise their children by growing vegetables and fruits to sell at the market. Besides, they also harvest crops from cheap gardens to sell at the market. For profit, their lives suddenly change dramatically when they meet two executives through many times of help and sympathize with their difficult situation. Hung and James fell in love with these two women. Actor Hung before his brother James was still abroad. Although Hung has feelings for Tiuka, she is still not divorced from her ex-husband. Sometimes her ex-husband comes to cause trouble for lying to Zhaoka. Ex-husband even confronts Hung. Hung also faced his father's opposition to his relationship. Hung's father thinks Tiuka is a poor girl. Unworthy of his son hanging will only bring suffering to himself if he continues to maintain a relationship with Laitiuka. But CEO James Hung's brother is different. James is of the younger generation. He is well educated and has new ideas. James believes that he has the ability to help people in more difficult circumstances than myself. If you love someone but consider and calculate their situation, that is not love. When you love someone, you just want that person to be happy. Then you will be happy when that person is happy. Then you will be happy when that person is sad. Then you are sad when that person is suffering. Then you are suffering. So, in the relationship between Hung's younger brother and a poor girl, woman raising two young children, James is fully in favor of it. James stood up to advise his father to give their children the right to choose their own happiness. But James's father was a conservative because according to his life experience and what he has been through in the past, he wanted to enlighten his son. Because of his love for his children, he always hoped that they would take the easy way out in their lives. But things did not go as he expected. Not only Hang, but after returning home, James also got into a love affair that was not what he expected. James' father continues to object to his son's relationship, but James and Hung still agreed to support each other and hope their father will understand. Their father finally had to accept it. This shows that love does not distinguish between rich and poor. their relationship and love. CEO James and Lai Deep, CEO Hung and Lai Tiuka, has become an inspiration for the younger generation. About love without borders. Love has no end. They are willing to fight for the right to love and be loved. Thanks for watching the video. Wish you all the best. James's story, To Deep and Men, not just a romantic relationship, but also the struggle between love, honor, responsibility, and choice. James, a man of determination, willing to give up family, the power to protect your love, but the road ahead is full of thorns. When faced with financial difficulties, family objection, and fair competition from men. To Deep, a simple country girl, but was caught in the vortex of two men. Power, she loves James, but is love strong enough to overcome the challenges? Especially when men is also sincere and willing to give her a more stable life. Bright, a businessman who gave up everything to live a simple life, but ready to return to business. Because of a girl, he does not use tricks, but still persistently pursuing his love. Set a fair challenge for all THREE people. At the end of the story, To Deep is forced to choose. If she chooses James, meaning she accepts a difficult future, but full of love and protection from you. If she chooses men, she will have a safer life. But is her heart really happy? So in the end, will To Deep's love stand the test of time? James can protect her to the end, or will fate take them in different directions? Leave a message, I will make better videos.